and Melbourne Storm captain Cameron Smith, someone's favourite at the desk, was back on the field yesterday doing what he does best. But if you were looking for even a hint of what he'll be doing next year in his pre and post-match interviews, bad luck, Smith gave nothing away. And as I've already mentioned, my co-host is not happy. Why so annoyed, PK?
It's not a personal thing, Ben. Everyone makes it out as if it's a personal thing. The fact is, what was it, 8 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, he said he was going to make his decision in 3 weeks. You've got two footballers out there, very handy footballers called Harry Grant and Brandon Smith, whose futures are dependent on this decision. And Grandpa Smith is sitting there doing his knitting, holding everybody at bay. I just think that, look, I get Cameron is retiring at some point, and when he makes that decision, it's his decision. But in the age of the salary cap, you don't have the luxury to make it a long, late end-of-season decision. Because if, for example, if Cameron waits to the end of the season and says, you know what, I'm done, Melbourne have got currently the best part of $1 million sitting in their salary cap, identified for him. And if it gets to that point where he says, you know, I can't do that, that $1 million can't be spent then on a like-for-like. Now, clearly there's no one going to come along, but you couldn't even get two quality $500,000 players at the end of the season. So if he loves the club as much as he says he loves the club, make a decision for the club's benefit.
Kenny, I think you're being disrespectful. I really do. Well, the grandpa business.
Oh, come on, Buzz. Seriously.
No, it's disrespectful.
It's not disrespectful. Maybe he should show some respect to the sport.
When Alan Border and Shane Warne retired from the Australian cricket team, did we put a time limit on it?
They don't have
no one knows what the salary
cap... Totally.
That's not a lot.
Cricket doesn't have a salary cap situation. This is why it's... Brandon Smith's manager's already gone to the Storm and said if Cameron plays next year, then we want permission to seek a release. And Harry Grant's got a clause in his contract saying if Cameron plays in 2021 at Storm, then he can go and negotiate elsewhere. So you've got two players, one's already a test player, the other is a potential test player, both sitting there. And as has been pointed out, you look at what some clubs did. Cowboys, for example, They had no money in their salary cap for Kalen Ponga because they kept it there for other players. Jonathan Thurston, for example. Kalen Ponga's gone.
Storm have already said they've got two salary cap scenarios ready to go when the decision is made. And this isn't a question of the Titans trying to pinch him or the Broncos, which was your idea, trying to get him to mentor those young players. This is about a guy who genuinely doesn't know whether to give it away or not.
But this is also the guy...
Hold on.
He's also the guy who waited till 2 weeks before Origin camp to tell the Origin coach he wasn't playing.
Well, when did he make a decision for this year? When? In December, right?
Right.
It hasn't affected them this year.
No, I think they anticipate him coming this year, but they are seeking answers, and tomorrow there's a board meeting, and at that board meeting, they're going to come out and they're going to say, Cameron, you need to give us an answer. Because they are, within the club, for all the rubbish that's going around about it's his time, they're frustrated, they don't want to go on the record and speak about it because they don't want to upset him and they don't want to create divisions within the club. But certainly last week, the chairman, Matt Tripp, said to Coach Craig Bellamy, can you get a heads up on what he's thinking of doing? Bellamy went and spoke to him. You wrote yourself. He came away none the wiser.
Mate. He doesn't know.
Well, what's it going to take?
I think he's more confused. I think he was heading towards retirement, and then that interview that he did pre-game on the weekend led me to believe that he's feeling fresh and ready to go again. So perhaps he was thinking about retiring, and now he believes he could possibly go another season. And I mean, the old adage in our game is you're a long time retired. So now he's ended up confused.
But also for a guy who protects his legacy so much, he would be wary of going a season too far.
Correct, and where he goes if he does go a season too far, because I believe there are other clubs who would be interested, absolutely, and you believe the same thing, Hoops.
Oh, for sure. The Gold Coast Titans and the Brisbane Broncos are both 1,000% monitoring the situation. If they think there's any sort of hope whatsoever, then they will go in and they will play ball. But to the point about Cameron and his legacy and where this whole scenario sits, yesterday, all the rage around the game was that Cameron was going to make an announcement to the playing group after the Storm had played against Manly, and that everybody would have some resolution and some clarity about where his position stood. Now, once again, everybody's been left in the win.
Yeah, but when you say all
what's
the rage,
what's the
no,
hold-up,
but
Buzz?
who was all the
Buzz,
rage?
it swept around the game all day yesterday. Was your phone not on? Because it went round everywhere.
No,
We were told here at Fox,
let's just
Channel
say,
9 had
let's
it.
just forecast that he decides he wants to play on, and he is concerned for the club. He doesn't want to see them lose Brandon Smith or Harry Grant. Surely that would be confusing, that if you feel, and he's probably earned the right to decide that he wants to go another year, maybe he doesn't want to leave Melbourne and play against Melbourne. That's what's making this decision difficult, that he's ready to play again. He can go another 12 months.
There's no doubt it's a difficult decision. But we all have difficult decisions, and yeah, I honestly believe it's not until you get a deadline on sometimes on these decisions that you actually come up with an answer. Because otherwise, until then, you just keep going back and forth.
Yeah, but
at some point, listen. Every week we come on here, and we've been banging on about Brisbane for the last 6-8 weeks. We come on here and we talk about how important it is to get your salary cap right, to get your roster management right, and here you got a bloke who the club is sitting there basically saying to us, "Can you please tell us?" This is the bit that's not been articulated. The Storm want to know. They want to get moving. They're not trying to take it into the public domain because they don't want to upset who is, I believe, the greatest player we've ever seen.
What I'm saying now is clubs are holding back off signing players. They don't know what the salary cap is. So if he does decide to
it's
play...
only going down, Buzz. It's not going
where's
up.
Brandon Smith going to go? West Tigers? Well, are they going to be able to remove Reynolds? I don't know if they will. Will they be able to, get Moses Sambi to win?
They reckon they've got $1 million to spend for next year. Anyway.
Well, yeah.
I guarantee you this, if they could suddenly get Brandon Smith or Harry Grant, they'd find the money for him.
Do you think, based on what the Storm do in 2020, it could change his decision? So I just want to flag something with you.
No.
Let's just say he comes out...
He's got to have made his decision by then, Ben.
Let's say he comes out and says he's going to retire and the Storm don't win the premiership and he's got a burning desire to go again. Would it be within the realms of possibility that he changes his mind if he's forced into making a decision?
Depends on the Storm salary cap position, doesn't it?
I'm saying not necessarily at the Storm. He just wants to keep playing. The Storm push him, so he puts his hands up and says, the only announcement is, I will not be at Melbourne next year.
Well, I think the Storm are also...
and then he's in the market.
Quietly anticipating that might be a viable
And that might be the first phase. It's not announcing where he's going to be next year. It's just that he won't be at Melbourne, but he will be playing on. Then the circus continues, does it not?
Well, that might be the case.
All right.